we run into technical difficulties. So I'm just going to make sure, yes, my audio input is working. Yay, cool. So this is not how I planned. I had planned to be outside, and the weather is beautiful. However, technical difficulties. I wanted to do something of a more complex show today, and apparently I am going to have apparently nothing is cooperating the way it should. So we're going to find out in just a second. What I do want to talk about today actually is the options on the camera. Now, um, as you will see in the little demo, I actually constructed a little demo for you guys today, and hopefully I'll be able to actually show it to you within the next couple of minutes. But I will put a little disclaimer on this. No offense to you Android users, I'm doing this on an Apple camera. I'm going to show off some of the features of the Apple camera. The reason I'm not showing Android is because which options you have varies wildly. I have absolutely no idea what options you have because it depends on your manufacturer and how they've modified their photo software. And quite frankly, it's a hell of a jumble. What I can tell you that is absolutely consistent is if you touch on a point on the screen, it will set the exposure and focal length for it will set the exposure and focal length for that point. And that is the same with Apple. And you can usually, most phones, definitely Apple, drag up and down anywhere on the screen to increase or decrease the exposure. So right now, you'll notice that my camera is not particularly contrasted because I'm doing this off of a computer, not what I usually do. I usually use my iPad because, quite frankly, the video, as you've noticed, is very, very good. Um, However, do I have anything? My phone, there's my phone. Yeah, so the phone and the iPad have much better output and whatnot. And so I really am going to focus on Apple today, just very specifically because it is consistent across all the interfaces, whether it's an iPhone, an iPad, an iPod. Even iPods have cameras. So yes, it is consistent across all of these. So I'm going to be talking about the slow-mo, the time lapse, yeah, so time-lapse slow-mo, portrait mode, which is unique to any iPhone past the iPhone 7. Actually, the 7 still has portrait mode, but the 8 has a better portrait mode, and they get better as time goes on. And the panoramic. So let's see, my videos apparently just uploading it is not enough. It's got to process. So we are currently doing that, and I am outright stalling. But if you guys have questions about any of the camera stuff, oh, actually, this is a good point to mention. For those of you who are interested, you might have a camera roll full of photos, and like, what do I do with this? I am actually working on a course, an online course for that. So I will be talking about making your own photo books, slideshows, calendars, that kind of thing, and just a way to get creative with the photos you already have. I will also, in that course, be talking about how to offload these or to offload them to different. I prefer cloud services just because if anything happens to the computer or the hard drive that you would have stored them on, cloud services are remarkably, remarkably hard to damage. So for that, I would highly recommend a cloud service. However, I will show you how to kind of offload them into very specific areas so that you can really kind of take advantage all the way. So that's something I'm working on now, and I'm eager to share more details of that with you. That should be in the next 2, 3 weeks, and I will talk about it more when it's complete. So here we go, and yeah. So I've got one person on Facebook. There. So I don't know. Just a note, by the way, for some of you who are like, "Yeah, did you notice I was on?" Um, I can't see who's on. I can just see how many of you there are. I can see what service you've logged in from if I mouse over it, so if I'm on a computer, but on the iPad, I cannot. I can only see how many people are watching. So I don't know who's watching or when. So that's kind of interesting to know. So in case you ever wonder, the only way I know who you are when you're watching is if you chat or comment or whatever. And I love to know who it is. So always, always, please, please, always feel free to hit me up in the chat. Always feel free to hit me up in the chat. Um, yeah. And we're almost there, actually. I get to show you my little demo. Actually, there's a really, really cool use of the slow-mo camera. Maybe I'll put that up in a future episode, so I'll have uploaded it maybe the day before. But they filled a balloon, a long balloon full of seltzer water, and then they blow it up on camera while it's filming in slow motion. You just see the water kind of ripple out, droplets and everything. It's so cool. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here we go.
Hey everybody. Okay, now this part, I wanted to show you some of the stuff that the camera can do. And you'll notice that, of course, if I put my hand out here, there's a slight delay, but that's okay. I want to show you what the camera is capable of doing. Now you'll notice that I am using an iPhone. Yes, I am absolutely using an iPhone, and there's a very specific reason. iPhone cameras are, the iPhone camera software is consistent. It's consistent across all iPhones, all iPads, and all iPhones. Even if you're using an iPhone 7, the camera app is consistent. There may be certain options that are not there. I'm using an iPhone 12 Pro Max, so I've got all the options. So if there's an option you don't see, that could be a very, very good reason. So I'm going to show you some of the modes, and you'll notice that we start out in the camera mode or the photo mode, and the photo mode goes very, very high. And this, by the way, is my kitchen. So you can see a lot of me, and then here, of course, I'm filming with the iPad. I'm going to do something a little unorthodox, and what I want to do is show you how this thing works. Now, this, of course, has to be pre-recorded because I don't want to have another instance of the printer where it takes too long to make sure that it gets right, and this and that. So here we go. Now I'm starting with time-lapse, and you'll notice that time-lapse, you'll notice that as I press start, the circle goes around and there are these little lines, and each of those little lines means that it's taking one frame. So time-lapse is about accelerating time. So I'm going to do the prep work for what I'm going to do next because I want to do something with the slow-mo, but I'm going to do a whole bunch of prep work. And normally this would take, like, normally to film this whole thing would be a very, very long process. But instead, I'm just going to show you the time-lapse. Now I'm switching over to slow motion. Now, slow motion is about, of course, slowing time down. The iPhone naturally does it to 1/8 the speed, which means you can go faster. You can always increase the video speed, but it will go very, very fast. So you can slow it down to 1/8 and really, really get something nice and slow. All right, so that gives us an idea of slow-mo. Something very slow happening, something very fast happening very slow. Video, I'm not going to go too much into. Video is really what you're watching right here with me. So that's straight up. But let's take a look at something else. You'll notice that right away, the iPhone is cueing in on my face, right? And the background is now blurry. So we can change the lighting mode to something like stage light, in which case it will remove the background for me, which is kind of neat in and of itself. Then we take a photo and that will actually produce a final photo, which I'll show here. Last but not least, there's panoramic mode. Now you'll notice that there's a very, very small image there. There's a small image there and an arrow. That's because it uses the phone's, the height of the resolution, the phone's height, to get the most resolution possible as you pan the camera over the scene. Let's give you some examples. Now that you've seen some examples, you'll notice that the camera gives the edges a wider and then it kind of goes. It does this kind of towards the center. It the center, which is further off, looks a lot smaller. That's because there is wicked distortion when it comes to panoramic, especially when it comes to distance. So just wanted to show you that.
So that was my little demo for you guys today. And if you guys have any questions, you know what? I'm going to pop and pop up my email here. And you guys feel free to email me questions. You know what? Hit me up in the chat, hit me up in the comments, hit me up on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. I see all of it. So this is simultaneously cast between 3 platforms. And if you guys have any questions about any of this, I love answering questions. I really do. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing one that I had a specific request from Mike. Mike really wanted me to cover iCloud specifically, and I'll try and kind of branch it out to other cloud services, but I will cover how iCloud works, like the nitty gritty of it, like I used to at Apple. So I will show you some fun stuff there. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Love y'all. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow at 6:45. Um, Hopefully from a more interesting locale than this. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a great night. And thanks for watching Not Technically Perfect with me, Richard Strother. And yeah, have a great evening.